With word getting out recently that WWE head creative fella Triple H was now in charge of the WWE Hall of Fame, it made us wonder if he'd be keeping the Warrior Award. Because, first, it was always odd to have an award for courage and compassion named after someone who didn't show a ton of compassion during his life. And second, because the Warrior had quite a few negative things to say about Triple H over the years. Which led us to look into people who are actively under WWE contracts who have thrown some shade Triple H's way over the years. I'm Senorita Siete for 7 Wrestling, and let's take a look at people under WWE contract who have bashed Triple H. If you enjoy this content, although Triple H might not, do us a favor and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and pedigree that notification bell. Number 1, CM Punk. Oof. Too easy? Welp, the internet is forever, and so too are the things the best in the world has said about the King of Kings. Although, in CM Punk's defense, he's been saying negative things about Triple H since long before he originally left the WWE. Remember Vince McMahon's doofus son-in-law? Anyhow, the bulk of these comments took place during the infamous episode of The Art of Wrestling podcast, where Punk opened up about his time in the WWE to his best friend forever, Colt Cabana. And Punk said a lot of things. He even ended up getting sued for some of them. But when it came to Triple H, he was upset about how Triple H basically came out of retirement to beat him in a match and cut off his momentum in 2011. How Punk was asked to take a drug test after he had a concussion when he was pretty sure that Triple H wasn't taking drug tests at that time. And most importantly, Punk discusses his theory that Triple H was the person who told Vince McMahon about his wedding to former WWE star AJ Lee, which prompted McMahon to send Punk a pink slip as a gift on his wedding day. Yikes. But hey, Triple H has a reputation for being a peacemaker. He managed to bring Vince back together with Bruno Sammartino and the Ultimate Warrior. So I'm sure there's no way this relationship ends with a locker room brawl and NDAs for everyone. Number 2, Road Dogg. It's me, it's that D-O-double-G. The calling card of the Road Dogg, Jesse James. He and Triple H used to be key parts of the merchandising dynamo known as D-Generation X. And today, the Road Dogg enjoys a cushy job as the Senior Vice President of Live Events for the WWE. But there was a point where the former roadie wasn't so thrilled with his former stablemate. In 2001, Road Dogg was let go by the WWE, allegedly due to some substance abuse problems. Dogg reunited with New Age Outlaws buddy Billy Gunn in TNA, and eventually would change their name to the Voodoo Kin Mafia, or VKM for short. Get it? VKM? Like Vincent Kennedy McMahon? Genius. And they love to get their digs in at their former employers, even going so far as to offer Triple H and Vince McMahon $1 million to face them in an actual street fight. I think that's my favorite part. $1 million? That's like trying to lure Ronald McDonald into a fight with a friggin' French fry. Needless to say, Triple H didn't bite. But he was legitimately concerned that the VKM might actually try to fight him. According to former WWE Tag Champion Trevor Murdoch, there was an event where the WWE and the VKM were in the same city, and Triple H ordered Murdoch and his tag team partner Lance Cade to watch his back. He even gave them permission to beat up the Outlaws if things got heated, but nothing ever came of it. And eventually, DX was able to let bygones be bygones, and both members of the New Age Outlaws were welcomed back into the fold. Number 3, Shawn Michaels. Really? Shawn Michaels? But him and Triple H are the bestest of buddies. Nope, that isn't a typo. Back in 2001, 3 years into his first retirement, the Heartbreak Kid was being brought back into the company for a role at that year's WrestleMania. However, at the time, Michaels was still battling his addiction problems and showed up to an episode of Monday Night Raw in no condition to perform. And not just any episode of Monday Night Raw, but the March 26th, 2001 episode of Monday Night Raw, where Vince McMahon told the whole world that he had just purchased WCW. Kind of a big deal. To hear Triple H tell the story, Michaels was pilled up, loud, belligerent, and literally falling all over the place. A frustrated McMahon sent Michaels home, which is where Michaels would go, but not before running into Triple H in the hallway and ripping his best friend a new one. Michaels would later go on to describe this interaction as him browbeating Hunter unfairly. A mentally exhausted Triple H vented his frustrations with Michaels and his drug addiction, and once Michaels had left the building, the duo didn't speak for over a year. The happy ending to this one is that when they did speak, they agreed to face each other at that year's SummerSlam in an amazing match. A cleaned-up Michaels would then make a complete return and have one of the greatest runs of all time. Today, Michaels serves as the Senior Vice President of Talent Development Creative for WWE and pretty much runs the show at NXT. And with the exception of the time he super kicked a little girl, he hasn't gotten in much trouble ever since. Number 4. Scott Steiner. Oh look, it's the least surprising name on this list. I mean, it's pretty fair to say that Scott Steiner has had something negative to say about everyone, but he came at Triple H with both barrels. The feud started when Scott Steiner joined WWE in 2002 and was immediately put into a main event slot, which was extremely rare at the time. Steiner and Triple H squared off at the Royal Rumble 2003 for the World Heavyweight title, and it was a train wreck. That might even be an insult to train wrecks. It was a train wreck that had pooped its train bed. It was bad. Steiner would never recover and was immediately shuffled down the card. He didn't even perform at that year's WrestleMania a few months later. When asked what went wrong during an appearance on Sitting Ringside, the Freak with the Peaks would say, quote, "Same thing went wrong for me that went wrong for everybody else that went from WCW. Look what he did. Triple H beat everybody. Kevin Nash went in and look what he did. He had a DQ and then he got beat. Sting got treated worse. He had one match with him and he was done. That's the thing when a guy's a mark and he wants to beat everybody and he was a legitimate I mean, Wikipedia don't lie. Of course, it does help banging the boss's daughter, so you know, he took advantage of everything that he could, and he beat everyone from WCW. Heh, I like that Scott Steiner thinks that Wikipedia is some fountain of truth. Anyhow, a few years later, the Steiner brothers were welcomed into the WWE Hall of Fame along with the typical Legends contracts that come with that honor. And seeing as Scott's nephew is none other than NXT powerhouse Braun Breaker, perhaps Freakzilla should be more diplomatic in his future podcast appearances. Number 5. Ken Shamrock. The world's most dangerous man has been one of the world's most invisible men when it comes to WWE retrospectives. Very rarely do you see Ken Shamrock show up in any lists or video packages. Until recently, when these shirts mysteriously showed up on WWEshop.com, or his face started showing up in the game WWE Supercard. So, safe to assume he's under a Legends contract and will probably be an inductee in the 2024 class of the WWE Hall of Fame. But, during a 2014 episode of The Shoot, Shamrock did have a thing or two to say about the game. Quote, "Here's a guy that has a huge ego. He has a hard time with putting anybody over, and let alone outside the business when someone like Brock Lesnar would have to hurt him. His ego wouldn't let him walk around in a sling. He wants people to know it's entertainment. Unless he's the one doing it, then he wants you to walk around in a leg cast. You've got somebody in that position that's got too big of an ego to run a company like that." Well, that should make for an interesting evening at the Hall of Fame. Number 6, Kurt Angle. Oh wow, our favorite meme had some crosswords for Triple H as well? Shortly after leaving the WWE in 2006, the Olympic gold medalist had this to say about Triple H on the Bubba the Love Sponge show. Wait, sorry to delay what Angle said, but there's your problem right there. Has any wrestler ever come out looking better after an interaction with Bubba the Love Sponge? Okay, back to the list. Angle said he didn't respect Triple H because he used his place in the company to forward his own career, and that Triple H had once fought against Kurt Angle getting the world title because he was too small. However, when Jerry Briscoe suggested a shoot fight between Angle and Triple H to see if size really was an issue, Triple H apparently backed down. But it didn't stop there. In a 2008 interview with The Sun, Angle would say, quote, Triple H obviously wanted to bash me because I was a better wrestler than him, and I deserved to be in the spot that he was in, but he was never going to give up. He's Vince's son-in-law. I'd wrestle Shawn Michaels, and I'd get a little rough with him. Then I'd get heat from Vince McMahon because I beat up on Shawn too much. So I'm like, well, you know what? I'm tired of the two long-haired sissies. If they can't go up against me, then don't put them up against me. Oddly enough, Kurt Angle has been all smiles and rainbows since returning to the WWE, even facing Triple H at WrestleMania in a surprisingly awesome tag team match. Not bad for a long-haired sissy. Number 7, Cody Rhodes. Okay, this one is a bit of a stretch. In fact, Cody has gone on record as saying that Triple H is one of his favorite wrestlers of all time. But what was going on at AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view in 2019? That throne looks pretty familiar, and if I'm not mistaken, a sledgehammer is definitely one of the game's trademark foreign objects. Apparently, it isn't a big deal. Cody came back and won the 2023 Royal Rumble, main evented WrestleMania, and everything is as cool as the other side of the pillow. In fact, the duo has never even discussed the incident. But, it still happened. We're just saying, watch your back, Cody. Well, there's our list. Did we forget about any wrestlers that bashed Triple H then returned to the WWE? If so, leave them in our comment section below. Also, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and pedigree that notification bell. Until next time, I'm Senorita Siete for 7 Wrestling, saying bye-bye.